Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we continue to take a look at Ainz Ooal Gown's weak spots, and at one among others that will likely cause great trouble or even his downfall in the near future. But before we're going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. And with that said, let's dive into Ainz Ooal Gown's most vulnerable weak spots. And while we last time covered his skeletal nature and the fact that Ainz Ooal Gown is increasingly unable to pursue his favorite battle strategy of essentially bait and switch due to his increasing fame and status, this time we will take a look at yet another weakness buried within his character build first, before we take a look at one of the deadliest weaknesses Ainz has. Now, not only has Ainz the normal weaknesses any skeleton and overlord has, but also some self-inflicted ones. Ainz Ooal Gown has built himself not a battle, but primarily a roleplay character. He designed his character build, allocated his skill points, stats, spell slots, and equipment, and how he believes an overlord ruling over an entire guild should feel and conduct himself. What he should be able to do and set into motion, rather than at building his character to maximize the effect of his skills, spells and stats in battle. This, among other things, meant that Ainz Ooal Gown was a weak caster compared to any other proper PvP build, like Overlord Ainz Ooal or Tabula Smaragdina, Albedo's creator. Other than that, the apparent lack of min-maxing, aka allocating one's limited resources to a select few stats and skills in order to maximize the effectiveness of one's primary and secondary battle strategy, didn't happen. This would mean that Ainz Ooal Gown, much like Overlord Ainz Ooal, could have, theoretically, dominated his opponents much more easily. Mainly because, let's say, his damage spells or ghost magic would be even more potent. This character build is a jack of all trades but a master of none. While Ainz has an overmaxed mana bar, his HP and defense are low enough to lose against basically anything on his level in melee, but also high enough as to waste valuable skill points, especially because his weak defense would have been covered by his perfect warrior mode, which would reallocate his skill points anyway. So with that in mind, and with all of the damage nullifying abilities and spells Ainz Ooal Gown has, and in fact is very proficient at using, a defense of around 70% of the total possible maximum is completely overpowered. It should be at least reduced to 50% or to even 30% in order to bring his magic attack all the way up to max, or indeed overmax his spell power, like Ainz Ooal Gown had already overmaxed his mana bar, as well as strengthening his magic defense and his overall resistance in order to easily win any long-ranged spell-casting duel. If his magic defense and attacks are overmaxed and his weak defense is covered anyway by his perfect warrior mode and spells like Body of Effulgent Berry, then the remaining points of his physical defense stat could have also been reallocated to his HP. While physical defense is really only important in melee duel or against long-ranged physical damage dealers like sharpshooters, which again Ainz Ooal Gown could still tank due to his spells, skills and the ability to switch to perfect warrior mode. His increased or even nearly maxed out HP would not only help survive physical attacks, thus fulfilling essentially the same role as the high physical defense did, but an increase in HP would also help him in any other situation, since HP is vital even when fighting other casters. So basically his defense stat would be cut at least in half, and instead his magical attack, defense and resistance would be maxed out, with any remaining point put into his hit points. Also, part of his physical attack could be put into agility or HP, since again physical battles are already covered by Perfect Warrior, or one of Ainz Ooal Gown's many summons, something he, or rather Pandora, had to rely anyways on in any serious battle. But another and far greater weakness, one that has been exploited already, is Ainz Ooal Gown's attachment to his friends. It led him to believe not only the wildest of lies, and made him listen to the most desperate of enemies, while seriously considering their obviously false statements as more or less true, despite him realizing that everything a cornered enemy would say must be a lie, out of sheer desperation in order to free himself out of this very dire situation. But then again, the rage that comes from the misuse of his friend's name, which again was completely obvious, and the subsequent rash and angry decisions he then could make due to his emotionalized state, could be used to bait, taunt and trick an otherwise rational thinking, calm and collected Overlord. Furthermore, should his friends reappear, or should someone be able to pretend to be them, which, given Ainz Ooal Gown's willingness to find and reunite with his friends, could be surprisingly easy, Ainz would then be completely unaware if his friends would plot his downfall or not. He could be led into ambushes, or straight up unwinnable situations, all without him suspecting it, and likely with a greatly diminished will to fight. And this danger in particular was so glaringly obvious that Albedo came to the conclusion that his friends, the supreme beings, who at least from her perspective had already abandoned Ainz Ooal Gown, and herself for that matter, couldn't be permitted to live, because Ainz would be so vulnerable from any and all attacks from them. So instead of having Ainz die to an easily foreseeable attack or coup d'etat coming from one of Ainz Ooal Gown's friends that had already abandoned Nazarick, Albedo would rather seek and destroy any supreme beings that she encounters first. This primary strike would then prevent any chance of treason, and Ainz Ooal Gown reuniting with his friends, and thus being able to being manipulated and ambushed. So his sheer attachment to his friends might have in fact, at least considering Albedo's rescue force, led in part to treason and discontent within Nazarick, since Albedo, the second in command after Ainz, has already become kind of an internal threat to the Overlord, his friends, and even the entire Tomb of Nazarick. For if Albedo destroys the guild weapon, then the Great Tomb of Nazarick would likely just disappear. So again, this is a major weakness, and one that is already being exploited. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, thank you very much to my Patreons for supporting this channel, and special thanks to Batgayi, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Feralshivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Haster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, Ted, The Orc War Boss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.